program. This is the Matthew Fresquez Show, and I am your host, Matthew Fresquez. It has been a while. Took a little bit of a holiday break. Great to be back at it. I hope you have had a great holiday season so far. Good show for you today. We're talking Tim Tebow, bowl season, the mess at Ohio State, and by Ohio State, of course, I mean the whole NCAA. But as always, I want you and need you guys to like the Matthew Fresquez Show on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at Matthew Fresquez, and email the show, MatthewFresquezShow@gmail.com. Get in, be heard. But before we get to the other topics, first things first. If you caught my last show, you know I have a new mission. My new mission is to get Oklahoma City Thunder Kevin Durant, or as Woody calls him, Durantula, love the new nickname, hope it sticks, to follow me on Twitter. Now, in order to accomplish this, I need to earn it. I know this. You have to earn a guy like KD. A guy of this caliber doesn't just follow anyone. So what I want all of you to do is get on Twitter and follow him at KDThunderUp and shoot him an @tweet saying, I'm the reason you're following him. I'm going to be shooting him tweets here and there, and I'm going to give him recognition he deserves, at least on this level, and I'm going to see if we can't accomplish this within the next month. Now, you might be wondering the reason why Kevin Durant. Why is this my mission? Why did I choose him? And I'm going to tell you right now, Kevin Durant is the second best player in the NBA. He is leading the NBA right now with 28.1 points per game, and he is only behind Kobe Bryant as the best player in the NBA. And I'm telling you, when Kevin Durant gets some more years under his belt, keeps things going, he's going to be the best in the NBA, and he's a future Hall of Famer. No questions asked, it's going to happen. But it is not just the things that he does on the court. It's a million things that he does off the court. If you haven't heard some of these stories, I've been looking into them. I've heard a bunch of these stories, and I can't get enough of this guy. He's a great guy on the court. He's a great guy off the court, and he does both. I'm going to talk about Tim Tebow in a little bit, and you're going to think I'm a hypocrite, but it's not. He is great. He is amazing on the court, and he just happens to follow it up with off-the-court stuff. Now, if you did not hear about this story, Sports Illustrated asked him to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. However, Kevin Durant would not do it unless if his teammates were on the cover with him. Now, Sports Illustrated gave in, and it was him and it was two of his teammates on Sports Illustrated. And he said the reason was because it's not all about Kevin Durant. These guys are just as important, and they play huge roles on this team. You don't see guys like that. If you ask most athletes, will you be on the cover of Sports Illustrated? They want to be on it, and they want to be on it alone. Also, next thing, he was supposed to be on the Jim Rome Show. I listen to the Jim Rome Show a lot. Shout out to Jim Rome. He was supposed to be on the Jim Rome Show. His practice ran long, and he couldn't make the show, and he couldn't do it on time that day. He calls Jim Rome personally, apologizes that practice ran too long so that he couldn't call in and make the show, and he does it the next day. Jim Rome said on air that this is the first time this has ever happened and that anybody has personally called him and apologized. And Jim Rome knows what's going on. He understands players go on practices. Practices are more important than a 5-minute interview on the radio. But Kevin Durant still calls in and apologizes to him. Next thing. The NBA requires certain players to go do certain things in the community and help out here and there. Kevin Durant was assigned to go help out with kids, play with these kids. Kevin Durant showed up the day before, made sure he knew where it was, went in, talked to him, kind of figured out what he was going to do, and he asked the guy when he was there if it was okay if he could bring more players. Now, Kevin was the only one who was supposed to go, but he wants to bring more players in with these kids. So the next day, he rolls in, a couple other players with him. They stay the allotted amount of time, and they go up to him after the allotted amount of time, after they're done playing with the kids, and ask if it's cool if they stay later. And what guy who's in charge of helping kids is gonna say no? Are you? Of course you can stay longer and play with these kids. It just, every single story that I hear about Kevin Durant just makes me like him more. Coming from Oklahoma, or being in Oklahoma City, people ask him, would you want to move to a bigger market? You can't really do as much here as you could if you were in New York. And as I heard the story, he says, what would I do if I'm in New York? I'm from a small town in Texas, and after a game, I'm so tired because I go 100%, and if you watch him, he gives everything he has. I'm so tired after a game, I just want to go home and I want to hang out with my buddies and play video games. He's like, I could do that here, I could do it in New York, I could do it. It doesn't matter where he is, that's where he can do it. Now, if you're not following him on Twitter, I follow him on Twitter and I check out his stuff. He is constantly giving stuff away on Twitter. He's giving away his game shoes. He gives away brand new KD 3s just to anybody who does certain things on Twitter, and he has rules that you do it by, but he just gives this stuff away. And for Christmas, he was giving away these Christmas packs. Now, for these Christmas packs, you had to earn them, but you had to go to certain places, and he doesn't just pick Oklahoma City or Oklahoma. He goes all across the nation. Now, he seems to focus on Oklahoma more, obviously, because that's where he plays, that's who supports him, that's who he supports, but he does it all over, and you had to go to certain places and take a picture with 2 thumbs up, and the first 3 people there, he would send you this Christmas prize pack, which had, God only knows what it had in it, but I'm positive it had KD 3s in it, which are his new Nike shoe, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and it had a bunch of other stuff, and he's just a great guy, and he gives back to the community, and he's a normal guy. He hasn't let his popularity get to his head yet, and I hope he stays like this. I hope people don't start taking advantage of it. I saw it a couple times on Christmas where people were photoshopping pictures trying to get this free stuff. Like, he's giving you free stuff for Christmas, guys. He doesn't have to be doing this stuff. He can sit in his house and do his own thing and ignore everybody else. People would still love him, but he's out there doing this kind of stuff with the community, just being a normal guy. So I hope it stays this way. I hope people, don't take advantage of this and ruin something so great like this. So, like I said at the top of this, follow him on Twitter and tweet at him mentioning that I'm the reason why. KD Thunder Up. He's a great person, and he deserves you to follow him. He deserves you to support him. Do everything you can for this guy, and it goes beyond my mission to get him to follow me, because even if he doesn't follow me, you know what? He's still a great guy. He's still a great player, and I'm still going to back him up, and I'm still going to give him the props and the recognition that he deserves. Now, I got an email from Smitty in Tennessee, a regular, asking what the rest of my bowl game predictions are. But let me just say this. The NCAA is awesome. We have students fighting in the fans where they're in Hawaii for a tournament. We have players taking money left and right. If you haven't heard about this, I don't know how you haven't. 5 Ohio State players got busted for taking inappropriate gifts and taking money, and they're selling their conference championship rings for money. And now they're suspended for the next 5 games of the season. But let me ask this. Why aren't they suspended for the bowl game? It is ridiculous that you're going to wait until next season to suspend these guys for 5 games. Terrell Pryor, who was one of the guys who's suspended, he's probably going to the NFL anyway, so he's not even going to get punished. It is ridiculous. They need to be suspended for the bowl game, but the NCAA is not going to do it because the NCAA needs to make money off this bowl game, and Terrell Pryor in Ohio State is a big sell, and if Terrell Pryor and these 4 other players aren't playing, they're not going to make as much money. And let me just tell you, it is ridiculous that these kids continue to take money and continue to get money. These guys are getting full rides to schools that cost $40,000. Now, if you're getting you're getting $40,000 to go to a great university. You have enough money to make it by. You are getting free food, free books, free housing, everything. And you're telling me that you don't have enough money to make it by over the year? And people are saying, well, they have practice all the time, they have this. You are getting free everything. And let me remind you, you're supposed to be poor in college. You're supposed to be eating ramen noodles. You're supposed to be living on peanut butter and jelly for 3 weeks straight. You're supposed to be cooking Easy Mac in your microwave. The fact that they are taking money is ridiculous, and they need to start bringing down the hammer and not worrying about money. And just, if you do this, you're suspended, end of story. And what hypocrites are running the NCAA anyways, that these 5 players get suspended while Cam Newton is still playing? It is the same exact thing. Yet Cam Newton and Auburn have to make it to the NCAA championship so they can make money. Because if TCU gets there, they're not going to make as much money, and they're not going to have as much of a following. So Auburn, Oregon makes more money, and it is ridiculous. They need to find some new people to run the NCAA, and they need to set these ground rules and make them all across the board. Now, I got a little bit off there, but Terrell Pryor and all this, it just keeps happening, and it's happening all over the place. They're just not getting caught. Bowl predictions. Let me just say, first of all, these bowl games are ridiculous. It's one of the worst bowl seasons I've seen. 10-2 Oklahoma State, who was really close to winning the Big 12 championship, against 7-5 Arizona. You have 10-3 Nebraska playing 6-6 Washington. Nebraska already played Washington in Washington early this season, and Nebraska wiped the floor with them. It wasn't even a close game. Air Force versus Georgia Tech. Air Force is way better than Georgia Tech, and we saw that, 14-7. But we saw that yesterday. Nevada, 12-1 versus BC, 7-5. Nevada's a damn good team, and if you remember, they're the one that beat Boise. Now let's get to the bowl predictions. Capital One Bowl, Alabama, Michigan State. I like Michigan State. Alabama has been struggling a little bit this year. TCU, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a very good team, but a lot of people are sleeping on TCU because of their schedule, and I'm telling you, TCU will win that game. Oklahoma, UConn, another joke of a game. If Oklahoma doesn't win by 30 or 40, it'll be disappointment. Oklahoma, that's my lock is Oklahoma, UConn. Stanford, Virginia Tech. That one's going to be a close game. I really like Stanford. Andrew Luck is amazing. #1 draft pick. Ohio State, Arkansas. I like Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to come out. I think Ohio State's overrated. LSU, Texas A&M. Close game, good game. I'm going to call LSU, even though Texas A&M, they're going to put up a fight. If you saw them play Nebraska or Oklahoma, Texas A&M are a good team. And the last game, the biggest game, Oregon, Auburn. Auburn, I don't like their defense, and if you saw them play this year, yeah, they look pretty good, but there were some teams that hung around that did not deserve to be in the same stadium as Auburn, or at least supposedly did not deserve to be in the same stadium. Oregon is the fastest team in the nation. I like their defense. I like their offense. I'll tell you this, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think Oregon pulls that one out. Now, to finish the rest of the show and get my last take in, I'm going to have to bump over and get part 2 going, so check out part 2. Trust me, you do not want to miss it, especially if you are from Denver and you are in Colorado like the majority of you are, or you have interest in Colorado sports. You're not going to want to miss part 2. Flip over, check part 2. Trust me, it's worth it. Next time we're going to keep it short, but being off so long, we have a lot to talk about this show.